Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? Just let me know in chat. Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to be creating a Discord bot and learning about the Discord API and this Node.js library called discord.js. So first, let's talk about the Discord API. So I don't know if you guys went to the backend workshop or the database workshop, but essentially an API is just a way to communicate between the client and the server. So the REST API of Discord lets us communicate between the Discord client, yeah, and the Discord servers, not like our server, the actual Discord servers, which process the data, they store them. So that's what we're going to be interacting with to create our bot. So the Discord API uses the JSON format, which we learned about in the database workshop and we learned about in the backend workshop. But if you don't remember, I'll go over it real quickly when we get to coding. So this is just a screenshot from the documentation of the Discord API. You can see you have a GET request, if you remember from the backend workshop, and we get to this route to get all the emojis of a certain guild. And yeah, you can look at the documentation if you want to learn more about the REST API. It's not terribly important for coding it because we're going to be using a library that wraps it for us. So we don't need to know this by heart, but we do need to be aware that it exists. The most important thing about the API is the tokens. So tokens are stored in the request header. So every time you send a request, Discord authenticates this request using what's called a token. And we'll learn more about these tokens and how to make them later. So let's talk about snowflakes for a second. So snowflakes are just a number identifier that's used by Discord to identify anything on Discord. So if you have a channel, a message, an event, anything you can think of, Discord uses snowflakes to identify it within the database. So to see the snowflakes and to be able to find them, you have to go into settings, advanced, and then developer mode. So I'll just give you an example on how to do it. So imagine this is your Discord client. Go to settings, and you go to advanced, and then you have to make sure this is enabled. If it's not, enable it. And now what you can do is right click on whatever you want and click copy ID. And then you have the snowflake of that object or whatever you clicked on. So this applies to messages as well, channels and everything. So you can just right click on them and get those snowflake. This will be important later, but we just have to make sure this is set up for now. So now we're actually going to create the bot. So go to this link, I'll paste it in chat so everyone can access it. Go to this link. It's going to look something like this, but you won't have this. Okay? You won't have this set up. So we're going to have to set it up ourselves. So click on create app and you have to give it a name and accept terms and conditions. So I'll give everyone 5 minutes to find the link and create the app. And if at any point during the presentation you have any questions, just type them in the chat. I'll see them. Yeah, I don't know why they call them snowflakes. We had to enable developer mode. It's yeah, you go to settings and then advanced and then developer mode. Yeah, each ID is unique. It's how they identify everything. And it's not important to know, but it's interesting to know that it's based on dates. So they generate it based on the current immediate time. That makes sense. I did not know that. So is everyone caught up? Does everyone have an app with an appropriate name? You don't have to change description or image or anything. So make sure you have it. Just a side note, this is the application ID. It's also a snowflake. You don't need it, but just interesting to know. Okay. So now you have to create the bot and assign it to the application. So go to the bot section of your app and click on add bot. This will allow your application to have a bot assigned to it. So a bot is essentially a user that is special in the sense that it has no client able to log into it. So you can only log into it with the API. And it also has that special blue badge that says bot. So I'll give everyone like 2 minutes to do that. This is how it looks like when you created the bot. And you can give it whatever name you want. It really doesn't matter. It's just for your preference. You can also assign it an image if you wanted. So that's nice. So has everyone done that? Does everyone have a bot created? Okay. So now we want to generate the token. Remember how I briefly mentioned the token when we talked about the API? So this is how Discord is going to verify that you are actually the owner of the bot and you are allowed to use it. So you have to click on view token and make sure you keep it safe because you can only generate it once. You can reset it, but you can't view it again unless you don't save it. So make sure you save it and don't share it with anyone. It's like the password to your bot. So if someone has that token, they can access your bot and upload whatever code they want on it. So make sure you don't share it with anyone. So maybe just open a notepad file for now and paste it in. This is what it's going to look like after you generated it. So it's not going to let you view it again. It's just going to let you reset it. Okay. So is everyone good with this? Does everyone have the token? Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So now the next step is to configure your bot. So we have to make sure the bot can receive messages. This is relatively new. They added it like a few months ago, but now we need message content intent enabled in order to receive messages. So when you go to this page, you can go to privileged gateway intent and we can enable it here. So this would make sure we're allowed by Discord to access the message content and we get an event. We'll learn more about events later, but we'll get an event every time someone sends a message to the bot. Otherwise, we won't be able to access the content of the message. So just make sure this is enabled. Okay, now we're going to add your bot to the server. So you see how you have O of 2 in the sidebar? I know it's kind of small here, but I can go to the tab again and show you. This section. You have to click on it and then click URL generator. Okay. Is everyone able to find it? Yeah. Okay. So make sure you have bot enabled. And you don't really need anything else, but if you want to give your bot all permissions, just give it administrator, but you don't have to. Okay. And now you have this link. This link would allow you to add your bot to your server. So you can copy the link and paste it in. And now we have this screen. So just select the server you want it on and then add it. You have to click authorize. If you didn't set permissions, it wouldn't do it. It doesn't matter if you set permissions or not because we're not going to be using it. But just click authorize. And now it should be on the server. Okay, so is everyone good with that? You might have to create a new server if you just want to test it. So I'll give everyone like 2 minutes to do that. And again, if you have any questions, chat is always available. Okay, so has everyone added their bot to the server? Do we need more time? Okay, so I'll keep going. If you have any questions, so you want me to slow down, let me know in chat. So now we're going to talk a bit about Discord.js. So Discord.js is a library. Does everyone know what the library is? Okay, I'll cover it briefly. So a library is just a set of code that is already pre-made for us, so we can use it in our code. We can import it and use it, and we don't have to code it from nothing. So Discord.js is the library that lets us connect with the Discord API without calling it directly. So they already made the methods for us, and all we need to do is to call the methods. We don't need to call the API and make the requests, which makes it a lot easier. So I will do a live demo in like a few minutes, but that's all you need to know for now. So I want everyone to open VS Code or WebStorm or whatever you use for JavaScript. I personally recommend installing WebStorm, but I know most people don't have it. So use VS Code if you want. So just open up a new project and then we can go from there. Okay, so is everyone ready to keep going, or should I give you more time? We're just opening up a new project now. Okay, so I assume everyone has it open. Okay, so now when you have a new project, you can type npm init if you have Node installed. If you don't, I'll just paste the link in the chat so you can install it. But you should have it for most projects that use Node. So you should install it anyhow. And when you install Node, you should already have npm installed. So just install Node from the link I sent in chat, and then type npm init in chat in the terminal. And then just set up your project, give it a name. You don't need a description or anything else, license, just press enter. It's not required. But just set it up as you would any other Node.js project. Okay, so is everyone good so far? Is everyone following? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, good. So now that you have npm init done, you can do npm install discord.js. This would add the library to your project. And I just attached a screenshot here of the output and how it should be. You might get a few warnings, that doesn't matter. As long as it adds the packages, you're fine. So once you do that, we can start coding. I attached some extra resources here, but we can start coding. So I will send you the starter file in chat so you can see it. Okay, so download the starter file and just put it in the root directory of your project. So the same directory you have package.json and everything, just put it there. Okay, so let me just go over this code. We're not going to go over this yet. We will later, but just the important part. So here we're creating a new Discord client. So this essentially simulates your app, your client, like your phone app or your desktop app. It simulates it, but as a bot. So here we have the intents. So usually you just want the message content intent to access the messages, guide messages to access guide messages, and then just this to access the servers. And then here we just want the message event. So we need that too. It's not too important. You just need to copy and paste it every time you create a new bot. So Discord knows to send you the relevant information you need. So this is the important part. We have events here. So we're telling the client, once you're ready, do this. So right now we're just printing something in the console, but we can do more stuff if we wanted. And then we'll go over this later. And then this is very, very important. So here we have where we log in. So we get the token from a config file. I'm not going to show you what mine looks like because I don't want to reveal my token. But this is how an example would be. So you just make a file called config.json and you put this in there. I can paste it in the chat. So this would get your token from the file and log in into the client. So this code can authenticate you and your bot. So I'll give everyone like 2 minutes to catch up. Again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I think by default it supports it, so you don't need to enable anything special. If you want to enforce code style, you can add ESLint, but that's beyond of the scope of this workshop. I can show you how to do it later after the workshop if you have time. But by default, you can use import statements instead if you wanted. But for now, just use require. It's fine. Okay, so is everyone caught up? Okay. So let's go over this a bit. So this is the most important one. This essentially means we're telling the client, when you receive a message, check if the message offer is a bot or not, and then return if it is. So don't do anything, ignore it. And we just console.log it so we can see that it receives the message. And then we have a switch statement. We can use if instead, it doesn't matter. And we're telling it if we say explanation mark options, then send this. I will go over this again in a sec, but I want to go over the important stuff first. And then we have if the message channel snowflake identifier is this. So that corresponds to this channel I created earlier in my example server, but you can just create your server, then copy ID and paste it here instead. So if that channel is this channel, reply with hello there. And then ping the user using the snowflake. Okay. So this is a neat thing about Discord. You can ping people using the snowflake. So if I wanted to ping my bot, I can copy his ID and I can type less than symbol at the ID and then greater than, and that would automatically ping him. And it also works with channels. If I wanted to like mention this voice channel, it wouldn't work generally. It would just give me the general text channel, but I want the voice channel. So I can copy the ID and put less than hashtag, then the ID, and now it works. Okay, so that's all we're doing there with this if statement. Now we can talk about this feature. I think it's really, really cool. It's relatively new. I think they added it like a year ago. So it's pretty new. It's buttons. I don't know if you got to see it around, but I can show you an example of it once we run the bot. So do node and then index.js to run the bot. And it might take a second, but it should say ready logged in as the username you gave it. If it doesn't, we can help you in chat. You can paste in the error. But usually, if it doesn't, it's because the token is wrong. So make sure the token is correct and make sure it can actually read the token. Okay. So I want everyone to just try to run it. So is everyone able to get the same output as I did? Okay. So I'll just show you what it does so I can explain the code better. So you see, we have a button here. Has anyone seen it before in this code used by bots? It's pretty fancy. So what I set it up to do is when you click the button, you get a random cat, just like this. So I'll show you how I did it, and then we can get to creating our own thing. The command to start up the bot. So you have to create a new client, and then you have to log in into it, and then it automatically starts the bot. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'll keep going. So we create a new row. This is essentially telling this code to just, I'll show it again, to have a new row here of actions. So you can have as many rows as you want. I think there's a limit of 5 actually, but I don't think you're going to get to it usually. So you can have rows and columns. So columns are just set by every button you put in that row. And then when you have the row, it just would show up vertically. So if I added a new row with a new button, I can just add a new row like this. I'll just put the same button and we can add it. And then I'll show you what it does. You can restart by pressing Ctrl C and then putting the command again. So if I do options again, it should now show vertically. Oh, was there an error? Uh, oh, custom ID. We need something else. Oops. So this is just an example, but it should show vertically. Like this. You see 2 rows. That's just an example. We don't need 2 rows, but it's good to know what it does. And then to that row, we add a button. So button builder is just a way to build a button object. I think you learned about the builder uh, design pattern in 207. So we set the ID this essentially tells this code, hey, when I press the button, tell me that it's called cat. Don't tell me it's called like whatever snowflake ID. Tell me it's called cat. And then we add the label, which is pretty self-explanatory. Then we set the color. There's a bunch of options. I think, no, okay. But there's like secondary, primary. I think there's also regular colors. I don't remember them by heart, but you can check the documentation if you wanna customize it. And then we reply with that message with the components. So components are like buttons. There's also select menus. They let you create actions for your message. So this is an example of an action. So we add a component, and then here, this is where we listen for when the user clicks the button. So we're saying if the interaction is a button interaction, and the ID of the interaction is cat, like we set here, then reply with a new cat image. This is just an API that gives you a random cat every time you go to the link. So every time I refresh the page, it would give me a new cat. So I just put it here as an attachment, and then I name the attachment cat.jpg, and then I delete the original message with the button. This is not mandatory. I just don't want people to spam the button like someone said in chat. But I guess they're doing it anyhow. So does this make sense for everyone? Do you want me to go over anything again? Okay. So for the rest of the workshop, I just want you guys to give me ideas or implement your own ideas into your own bot. That would be better. And I'll show you how to do them, and we can have some fun. So the first challenge I have for you guys is to create a new command called ping. And it will just reply with pong. Okay, that's all it's going to do. So when I type ping with an exclamation mark, it's going to type pong instead of hello there. I can show you what it would do if we don't do it, but essentially it would just delete this message with the button every time we click the button. So you see how this message got deleted? And then this again. So it just deletes the original message. And the bot is still offline, but that's what it does. So I'll get you guys started with the ping command. We're going to need a new case, and we're going to call it ping. Yeah, WebStorm is free for students. You can also get it with the GitHub education pack. It's really nice. I can post it after the workshop. This is just for like a new feature we have. It's not for the commands. So this command would work everywhere outside the channel, but this is just if I want to chat with the bot, hello, it's going to reply with hello there. Every message I send. So that's just the feature we have for the bot as an example for checking channels. If you wanted to create like a chat room or something fancy like that, you can have if statements. So we can have if message.content is hello. We can tell it hello there. And then we can say else. Sorry, I don't know what you mean. And you can really have a lot of fun with it. You can configure your own commands. So it's about creativity. You can be as creative as you want. Okay, so does anyone have any clue what to start the ping command with? What we have to put here? Any guesses? Okay, so we just want to reply to the original message with Pong, like this. So it's pretty straightforward. You can just put message.reply Pong. And now if I restart the bot, I can tell it ping, and it should reply with Pong, like this. And just a side note, if you wanted an emoji, like this, ping pong, you just put the emoji name, and it should add it there. So that's just like that, ping pong, and it should add the emoji as if it's like a regular emoji. So ping, then we have pong. So does this make sense? Okay. So does anyone have any ideas they want to see me do? Or they want to try it themselves? Yeah, bots can use emojis from other servers. I will just show an example real quick. They can, yeah. So I'll just add the bot to this server real quick so we can try it with this server. Oh, wrong server. Whoops. Um, this server. So we can try it. I am a human. Oh, pandas. Is this a panda? I think so. That's a panda. It gets harder and harder. So if I wanted, for example, to get this emoji, I'd have to find its ID. So there's an option for admins to get an ID. But for example, I think you can find it like this. Nope. So if you're an admin, you can find the ID by going to emoji. And then when you upload an emoji, I'll just find an image real quick. Here, for example, it's just some random emoji. Oh, no, it doesn't give you the ID if you type escape. Yeah, it doesn't give you the ID. Maybe if you chat, yeah, if you send it in chat, I guess it does. So here's an example. You can do this, copy this, and then you can paste it here, like this, exactly the same. And then you can try it out. So ping. Oh, oh yeah, because the bot has to be in the other server too when you send it. But it should work. I just don't want to add the bot to this server. So you just the key thing is finding the ID. You can find it usually if you're an admin, you can just find it in emojis, and then here you can just copy ID. Or you can do some convoluted way here. But the key thing is that the bot has to be in the other server too. Does that make sense? I know it's kind of complicated. Any other ideas or questions? A game. Yeah, you can create a game. I don't think we have time for that right now. But you can definitely create a game. I've seen some very cool things. I've seen someone create Uno with buttons. Um, I can show you some examples I have that I made after the workshop if you're interested. But yeah, you can definitely be as creative as you want with it. This is the entire point of this workshop, to just let you make whatever you want. So does anyone have any other questions, ideas, something they want to see me make or add to this part? No? Okay, so that'd be the end of the workshop. If no one has any questions, I will stay here until 6 or even more if you have questions. Yeah, you can give it video links. I think it has to be a direct video, so just YouTube wouldn't work. You have to have a direct MP3. But you can try it out if you have a direct link to a video, and it should work. And to generalize this, any file type should work. Like even if you had an exe or text file, it would work with the same method we did here. But it has to be direct link. Yeah, it wouldn't automatically play, but it would show us if any other user posted the attachment. But this is just a surface level introduction to Discord.js. There's a lot of features. You can have as much creativity as you want with this. I would go over the documentation real quickly. Uh, website is very useful. It's better than documentation in my opinion. It gives you a step-by-step guide on how to do anything you want. So if you want to, for example, learn select menus, which is another component, it will show you the code on how to do it. It's very similar to buttons, but you have a select menu and then you have the options. And you can see it's something like this. It can show you anything you want to make, usually. And if you have some really edge case thing or some very new thing, it wouldn't be there. But usually, if you want to make it, it's here. And then there's the official Discord.js documentation. So it just shows you what you can expect from like any documentation. It would show you every class they have. For example, action row. Just show you the properties, methods it has. So I don't recommend using this if you're learning from nothing. This is just if you wanna recall something and you don't remember. But this is generally better. I generally recommend this website. I can paste it in chat as well, but these slides will be posted. So this is a very good website. And then this one is really advanced. It's the official API documentation. It's not Discord.js, But if you wanted to make something really new or fancy, this would have it. So I don't know if everyone has seen rich presents. So if you wanted to make rich presents, it's usually here. Yeah, here. So yeah, if you want to do playing a game or something, this is where you'd find the documentation for it. It wouldn't be here. So it depends on what you want to do. All of these are great resources. And generally, all you need for Discord.js and Discord API in general. I don't know. I would recommend installing Visual Studio Code anyhow. It's good to have. I'm not hosting tomorrow's workshop, so I couldn't tell you. I don't know if Sam is here. He's hosting. Yeah, Sam is here. He can answer that question. If you have any more questions, you can always type in the chat. Does ask me anything, which is very good. If there's no more questions, feel free to leave or stick around and ask more questions. Thank you guys for coming. You can, yeah. I've seen someone do something similar. I don't know if ChatGPT has an API that is publicly available. Um, we can check, but I doubt it because they get a lot of requests. But if they do, then you definitely can. So if you guys want, I can show you some stuff I'm working on. I think it's pretty cool, in my opinion, but I'm a bit biased. So I'll just create a new channel. Okay. So I'll just turn on the bot real quickly. Oh, it's up. Okay. So I can do /settings and it will show me the settings of the bot. I forgot to upload the language files, but this is how you do it. You have buttons and then you can set whatever you want. And you can dismiss it if you don't want it. So setup command. It's pretty cool. So yeah, you can really do whatever you want with it. It's your creativity is like basically the only constraint. So just feel free to just do whatever you want and try it out. Once you finish the bot, there's also some websites you can publish it on. There's top.gg, which I know of, but there's a bunch of others. So you can just publish your bot. This is my bot. I made it a while back. and you can just add it to yourself, add it to top.gg, and then everyone can just add it there if they wanted. So there's a lot of opportunity. I know Discord is adding an app directory. I don't know if they made it already, but yeah, there's a lot of updates coming soon to Discord API, so it's really exciting. Thank you. Thank you for coming, everyone. Feel free to ask any questions again. Um, you can always DM me or ask in chat. Even if, like, in a year from now, you decide to look back at your old files and you see index.js and you want to make your bot, feel free to ask me any questions. Have a great rest of reading week. Good luck on 148 if you're having that assignment. So tomorrow, just a reminder not to rush you. I'm sorry. Dax, finish your 148 assignment. Come on, man. Come on, it's tomorrow. Fair. Good night.